Guten Morgen, Chillins. Song 7. This one's called Dear Hedda. It's written for my Norwegian niece, Hedda. It was for her birthday 2 years ago. It was just like a one-off thing. Espen, her dad, was like, make a video message for Hedda's birthday. And I was like, I'll do better than that. Like a dummy, I'll write her a song. Well, I did. I wrote her a song. And I will link below the original video that I did when I literally just wrote it, put the camera up and played it in the key of G. It was just for her. And she loved it. So I was really happy about that. But I thought I was just going to I've got that song. I really want to record that song. We were going to do it with the Black Country in Norway, but then that tour didn't happen because of COVID and, whatever. So I was like, oh, wow, I should do that for this project that we're sharing here. So, Dear Hedda. Problem is, I started it in G, laying out the tempo. I came up with the tempo and recorded a few virtual tracks, virtual instrument things on the keyboard, just to get, a feel for where I was. And then I realized when I laid down the vocal, I'm like, you can't sing this in G. I mean, I could, but it just didn't sound right. I was stressing too much and pushing it, and it lost the conversational narrative. That's really the main point. And that's something you should always consider in your music when you're arranging your songs. Like, what is this song saying? This one's a conversation between me and Hedda and giving her advice. And how is it being distributed? How is it being communicated? So it really needed to be conversational, and it really had to stick to that type of narrative. So I realized after recording a few tracks, I had to drop it to D. Yeah, I had to go a fifth, which seems like a lot, but when you're working with virtual tracks, you just go in, highlight them, and move them down a fifth. And it came out great, and I just put a scratch vocal on it so you could hear it. But again, check out the original track. It also has the lyrics in the scroll below the track listing, whatever they call that, that's just below the title of the track. It has the lyrics, so you can read them. I'm pretty proud of them. They came out great, and they're still applicable today. It doesn't matter how old you are. And she's now 2 years older, and she's big. She's as tall as Espen. And Espen's almost my height. He's maybe an inch or two shorter. So she's going to be a tall girl, and she's very pretty. She's going to rule the world. I'm very proud of her. So, Dear Hedda. Now, I should say one thing before we go any further. After I make this video, I'm going to put a new graphics card into my computer. That graphics card is supposed to be super duper fantabulous. I mean, it costs 600 quid, so that's what, $700 US? Yeah, but it's supposed to be amazing. It'll make the plugins run better. It'll make a lot of things better, but it's going to be a tight fit. So I'm glad we're getting this done today because I might screw it up. And if I screw it up, I'll go back to this old card, hopefully, but that's where I'm at. So if everything goes well with the graphics card installation this afternoon, I will continue work on Dear Hedda tomorrow, start adding a few more things. I'm feeling that it's very synth, kind of, not 80s, but it's got a lot of synth-based. I don't know any other way to put it, techno sort of, but it doesn't feel like that. It still feels like a folk song just with synthesizers, if that makes any sense. So, Dear Hedda, remember to check out the original, and if I'm back tomorrow, that means the new graphic card is working, and that's a good thing too for video, because I've had so many problems the last year or so with video because of this graphics card, and every time they updated it, DaVinci Resolve wouldn't work and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so Dear Hedda, let me let you hear it in D, and I'll show you some of the stuff. I'll try to zoom in and post. And then remember, check out the original and you'll see where we're going here. And I think I'm going to have Espen, Hedda's dad, play on it because he's in the Black Country with me. And he plays bass and a few other things. And he has his own studio now at home. So I'm going to ask him probably to play on it. And who knows what he'll do because he's as crazy as I am. Okay, here we go.
Wake up, little darling, don't you worry. Everything will be alright today. Don't speed into tomorrow in your hurry. It matters even less than yesterday. Things may not work out the way you want it. Doesn't mean the path you're on is wrong. Trust into the seeds that you have planted. You will end up right where you belong. There are many things in life to scare you. There are many more to make you brave. Something tells me you'll be fine, I dare you. And fight for what is right along the way. Daddy's had a share of bumps and bruises, mostly self-inflicted, yes I know. It matters little how much someone loses. It's getting off the mat for one more go. As long as you are honest in your dealings, tell the truth as much as fate will lend, then my darling you will have no ceiling. Sometimes you may have to bend. A time may come where you won't see me round here. I'll be with you each step just the same. Close your eyes and I'll whisper in your ear, if ever that you need me any day. Now I think it's best you're on your way.
Now, I should mention that I'll show you here that the drums are VCV rack. Remember, I keep mentioning VCV rack, but it's free. So I programmed the drums and I got two different sounds. Also, I programmed different sections, meaning, so there's an intro, a couple bar intro, then there's a verse section. And then I found I could change up the verse section a little bit for the B section, the chorus, because there's not really a traditional chorus, but it's a chorus. And then the next verse would be slightly different from the first, but have the basic same little difference, and so on and so on. And then I chopped it up. I'll show you. And that's, so the drums are VCV rack. Free. So let's check those out. So right here, so you have your intro. So let me make them big so you can see them. So you have your intro in yellow, then your verse in green, chorus in yellow, which is a different pattern, back to the verse, chorus, which is pretty much the same pattern. And then at the end, I combined two different patterns to lift it a little bit because there's not much going on, right? But you'll see there's very few tracks. And then there's a tag part that I programmed. So easy. and it's all locked in because once you figure out what the tempo of your song is, you set that to the clock in VCV rack that you use. So this is 86 BPM. It was 86 BPM. I just line it up. I record it. You can record it. You can use VCV rack in your DAW program. So whether it's Pro Tools, Ableton, whatever, it'll work. But what I like to do, so I can take my time with it and really tweak it, is record it into itself, because it has a record module you can add, and you can save them wherever you want on your desktop. And then I line it up to the first bar, and boom, voila, as the French would say, and you're good. So I'm really happy with how that came out. And then there's two VCV rack kind of ambient tracks going on, so that's kind of cool. That's this. That's just a programmed synth patch. Again, free. So I run it and then bring it in, and it's to tempo as well. So even when you're doing ambient things, I always have a clock in VCV rack. So it's all, tempo mapped. It just makes it a little easier. So there's not many tracks. Then in blue here, there's another track of percussion. Percussion and sounds. And they're in the key, so when you have other sounds other than drums, although you can tune drums too, you can make it in the key you need it. So it's at the tempo, in the key, beautiful. And then there's these four virtual instrument tracks, two of which are bass, one for pluck and one for sustain. One is a synthy sort of bass with the same notes, the same MIDI information. And then I found this crazy phase plant, random sound. I don't even know how to, it's an arpeggiated, filtered thing, but it doesn't happen all the time, but yet the notes are playing all the time. It's crazy. I'm sure you heard it. So some are hits and some are arpeggiated, filtered, modulated things. It's crazy. I'm using that. And then, and there's one more VCV rack track that I did, which is this. So there are hits, which is why it's important you have your MIDI clock in VCV rack synced to whatever your tempo is. But then there's notes too. So I was able to play the notes and have hits. Fantastic. So there you have it. Dear Hedda, Song 7. I don't know how much more I'm going to do on this. Weirdly, it sounds pretty organic, even though it's all synths and stuff. But I don't know how much more I'll do. I'll definitely have Espen play on it, see what he comes up with. You never know. He does crazy stuff. He and I would, the second Black Country record, the second Mad King Edmund record, because we never got to make a second Black Country record. So he and I kind of did this other group called Mad King Edmund with Alex Lindbach, who's one of the best drummers I've ever played with, and he's from Halden in Norway. So we did this thing. The first record we went and recorded live, but then COVID hit. So the second record, we were sending stuff back and forth. His stuff was crazier. Espen's stuff was crazier than mine. So I don't know if he'll play bass. He might do something else wild and woolly and wacky, and that's okay with me. So that's song 7, Dear Hedda, and we'll maybe just do a little bit more. I'll do a vocal, and maybe not much more other than nest spin, and then we'll move to the highly anticipated song 8, which is called Ice Skates. And I actually came up, when I was going through my list of songs that I've not recorded or songs that I just wrote, there's 3 more I could do. So I could do 11 songs if I wanted to. The last 2 are going to be tough to choose between them. It's just going to be a matter of, like with any record, as an artist, artistry, you choose what makes the statement better. So after we do Ice Skates, I'll have to choose from the last 3 which 2 to do. Maybe I'll do all 3, but I don't think it's worth putting more than 10 out. And then we'll figure out how to get this all mixed. All right, so by the way, speaking of mixed, I went a little crazy after doing the vocal on Rotten Dream, song 6, and I started mixing it, and it sounds really, really good. And that song gave me more agita than any song I can remember in a long time. And probably, and this is a good lesson, it was because it needed to be in another key, maybe. I like it in the key of E, but maybe it should have been in another key. And maybe the arrangement should have been different. Just because I had it in my head as an acoustic version of a power pop song doesn't mean that's the way it should have been done. And this is why collaboration is important. You can do it all by yourself, but it's nice once in a while, like where I'm reaching out to other people to add to it. But being in the same room with people is really good. It always makes it better, in my opinion. And I think that's one song that really would have benefited from working with people at the same time. But be that as it may, it sounds really good. I added tambourine to it from the bridge out. Amazing. And I decided that the original guitars I hated were going to come in on the next to last chorus out. That made it better. So that wasn't a total waste. And then there was a couple other little flourishes, but it's still pretty straight. And then Jordan Muscatello, my bandmate in the London Experimental Ensemble, who is without a doubt one of the best stand-up double bass players I've ever heard. I reached out to him yesterday and I said, hey man, it's a pop song, but would you be willing to lower yourself? Because, he's like schooled guy. And he's like, yeah, I'll do a pop song. He's like, send it to me. I sent it to him. He's like, oh yeah, I'm all over this. So that was comforting. So he's going to do that, but the rest of it's done. It's like mixed. I will bounce it once he does his thing and put it up for you all to hear, because that one was a headache for me. Like, I usually don't have that much trouble finishing or completing something that I'm happy with. But now that it's done, I'm happy. So again, song 7, maybe 1 or 2 more tries on that. And then we go to song 8. So Dear Hedda, check out that original, and I'll talk to you soon, if the graphics card works.